Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology, and instructional coach for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz Martin. I'm the one who does most of the editing on this show.
That was actually pretty clever.
Thank you.
More than I expected, actually. So, good work.
You thought I was going to go with the math thing.
I thought you were going to go with calculating.
Yeah,
something.
No. I does most of the editing. We're talking about clever. Desmos today. Desmos.
Yay. But before we get to Desmos.
Yes.
So many things have happened. We took 1 week off.
Because we were busy.
Because a few things happened. I went to Ed Camp. It was fantastic.
You love your Ed Camp.
Usual.
I know you like to be around people. You like to talk about EdTech.
Yeah.
You like the people who run it.
Yeah.
You like the people you meet.
Yep.
What else do you like?
Lunch is included and
lunch.
Breakfast, and there was muffins, and they were amazing.
You were technically a sponsor too, weren't you?
I was a sponsor this time around. I gave out some cool Tech Tools for Teachers freebies.
Thanks.
And you can always find cute t-shirts on the website if you go to smartandwi.com.
Yeah, you can.
You can actually buy the t-shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get to hang out with teacher friends and see teachers that I only see at Ed Camp, and then bring some of my staff with me, and it's fun. We just, it's a morning of fun and hanging out with other teachers without being very low pressure.
Sure.
Just like fun and freebies, and I won a book, and I got some stickers and stuff too, so that's always fun. And it's always free.
They gave out analog books at the tech conference.
Oh, it's
Weird.
not all tech.
It was a joke.
Ed Camp is
As
all
a joke.
kinds of
It's a
things.
joke. It's a joke.
So anyway, we had fun at Ed Camp. And then the eldest went to state powerlifting and did really well.
She did.
And then the next day,
got a $1,000 scholarship.
She did.
What?
Yes, she did. Yay. She's going off to school next year.
Only needs $64,000
More
more
to
dollars.
That's okay. She'll get there. And then you and I did something fun that we've never done before together. I spend every day with children, but usually you don't hang out with classrooms of kids.
I don't.
And we ran a podcasting workshop for kids.
We did.
Our daughter's school hosted a hobby day.
Yes.
Which was awesome. And it was a PBIS event.
Yep.
And they invited people from the community, parents and teachers, to share their hobbies with the kids and then run workshops and teach the kids how to do them. So we taught podcasting to some 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and it was awesome.
Two things here. One, I interviewed the dean of students, who's essentially the vice principal.
Yes.
And I sat in the kid's chair in the principal's office, which kind of gave me a little bit of PTSD from my childhood. Not a lot, but a little. Also, I have to say,
but she's wonderful.
Shanna, she is wonderful. She's fantastic.
She's a wonderful woman.
She's empathetic. She's kind. She's sweet.
Yes.
And I would probably still end up in her office. But the other thing is, I was very, very, very impressed by the way that you manage a classroom full of 3rd through 5th graders who are the kids who were like, we're going to the podcasting one because we know what's up. And you got them whipped into shape. And also, you troubleshooted a smartboard issue, and we got through. So and by troubleshooting, I mean you turned the power on.
Right. They had a different setup than as teachers know. Every single smartboard that you will ever go see in every single different district is set up completely differently.
Yeah.
And so this one was one unlike I had ever seen before, and we figured it out.
We found
the power button.
Yes. And
that was like in the wall.
Yeah, but all the power was on different things, but not the one thing that needed to connect it. And then you're like, hey, what if
try this button?
And then it all worked. So,
but it was awesome, and the kids were so fun, and we had them test out podcasting stuff, and they wrote their own intros, and it was the cutest thing. But
I was quite impressed.
Yes,
there were a couple kids who surprised me completely because they seemed like the quiet ones, and then when they got on the mic, they were like attentive, and they had. Like listened, like we asked them to their partners. Yeah. And I was very, very impressed. The kids are going to be okay. Yeah. Is where I'm going with that.
They're great.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was good. It was good.
So it's like, new thing. Podcasting workshops for kids.
Yeah. I'm in.
Let's do it. All right.
Take the show on the road.
Hey, we could.
We could.
So anyway, with all of that going on, while I was at Ed Camp, we discussed a site that I have talked about a little bit before in a previous episode. I think it was episode 38 that we talked about Desmos before.
It was, yep.
But it was just briefly mentioned, and I've been meaning to talk more about Desmos because they've overhauled their site. It's changed over the last couple of years, especially with everything going digital. And then I work with a few math teachers on my team and in my school district. And one of our algebra teachers, she uses Desmos at least once or twice a week. And she teaches algebra for both like 8th grade and through high school. And Desmos is her go-to. And she makes the coolest interactive types of lessons using Desmos, things she's created, things that Desmos has to offer. And she does these cool graphing things, and the kids graph formally, like with equations, but then she'll turn the equations into
they wear tuxedos.
Haha. No. But then she will also take these and have the kids write problems to create like cartoon characters and graphing. It's just so cool. So Desmos, if you are unfamiliar, haven't been there in a while, desmos.com.
Yep.
Okay, so it's Desmos. And it is appropriate for beginning graphing and beginning algebraic problems all the way through high school and beyond. It's very engaging. And a lot of it, you can either create your own stuff or there's pre-created collections of lessons. So you don't have to start from scratch to have these really cool lessons. So if you go to Desmos, you create accounts free and they walk you through. So you can preview everything ahead of time. If you go into the site across the top, they've got basic things like math tools. They have all kinds of cool calculators. So if you need a scientific calculator, matrix calculator, graphing calculator, like that's all there. Like those are free tools you always have access to. They have test practice too, which sometimes if you just need some test problems for math class, they're there for you too. If you go to resources, then they walk you through all the different things. They have a help center, they have accessibility, they have assessments. So everything is there across the top, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on the left-hand side, you've got like popular and then feature collections. And that's where I'm going to kind of just walk you through a little bit today. If you click on featured collections, which I appreciate, and I've talked to other teachers, you don't have to be a math teacher to use Desmos.
Okay.
Yes, it's graphing, and yes, it's a lot of algebraic equations and things like that, and functions and stuff. But also, if you go into, so I picked screens for checking in, like literally check in. How are you feeling today? Kind of screens. If you click on that, they have pre-done screens, and they're set up almost like Google Slides or like a slide deck where you can preview a screen. How are you feeling today? There's a little robot. It's a sliding scale. The kids can give you your emotions for the day. Like it's a check-in. Like, how are we feeling? Great. You can go through what's new. They can draw it. They can write about it. They can sketch in the space. Again, you don't have to be a math teacher to check in with your kids. What do you want to like to know about me today? The kids can submit. Where are you at today for energetic, tired, positive, negative? Like these are just check-ins that you can do, like pick a graph that shows your emotions. What is your energy level? So you don't have to be a math teacher to use these. Some of these are like set up for any classroom. What I also appreciate, and I have heard other teachers use, Desmos translates into several other languages.
Cool.
So like Chinese, Dutch, Estonian, French, Indonesian, Italian, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish.
Well,
what is awesome is I know of some Spanish teachers that use Desmos as practice, like practical application in Spanish class.
Gotcha. So like teaching kids who speak English as a first language.
Correct.
To use to like in real world how they would use Spanish
like in math or in like check-ins, it will translate their lessons.
That's great.
So you don't have to use Desmos in math. While it is amazing for all of these different features, you can also use some of these pre-done collections in other languages. They've got Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Calculus, and then they also have distance learning specific lessons. So if you've got kids that are in and out of the building, those types of things. And they also have elementary lessons too, adding with whole numbers, adding with integers. It gives you lessons created by Desmos. They also have lessons that are created by other educators and shared within a school. You can share with other teachers as well. They have telling time. So you can have lots of different students at different levels And what's nice about Desmos is you can assign things to students however you group them. So you can connect it with your Google Classroom, which is always fantastic. But you also, if you've got kids that need extra practice in a certain area, you can assign different things to different students so they don't all have to be working on the same thing. So they can work on the skills that they need to work on, which is really cool.
That is cool.
Desmos just has so much to offer. And then they have the marble slides, which we love a good
Oh, yeah.
slide graphing thing.
Don't show me where it is.
Okay,
I'll end up on there.
But you'll practice your math skills while you build marble slides.
It's true.
Yes, we do that a lot. Will it hit the hoop? So there's built-in algebraic, there's a video with a game to graph it to make the problems happen. Anyway, there's just so many cool things to try out in Desmos, and it has definitely grown since last time I've talked about it with so many different things to offer. It's fantastic and a fantastic tool to use.
It sounds like it.
And when I was at EdCamp too, all of the teachers, the one teacher that was talking about was then going into all of the different details, which are addition to the teachers that I've talked to that use it. There's just so many different ways to use Desmos in your classroom.
Cool. And it's all free?
Free.
Free.
It's all free.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Thanks, Desmos.
It's amazing.
For being so cool.
So cool. The other quick mention I had for math teachers, or if you do a lot of graphing in your classroom, it's called slow-reveal-graphs.com. It's based on a blog.
Okay.
But basically, also we talked about this at EdCamp, how when reading a graph, they get people get very overwhelmed.
Sure.
You get all these numbers and stuff. And slow-reveal graphs is a way of teaching using graphing where it just gives you the image first, so you think about it. And then it gives you a little bit of information, and it builds the graph as you are learning or talking or discussing it.
Okay, so
versus
you can
giving
see
you
how it
all the
comes,
features at once. Yep. And they have a lot of, in this website that I'll put it into smartandwi.com so you can look at it. They have resources of pre-done graphs, basically for class discussion, bar graphs versus line graphs, and then how there's different workshops on how to roll this out in your classroom. It's just kind of an interesting way of looking at things and having discussion with students on graphs versus just throwing all the information at them at once. So they get a better way to kind of read and understand it, which I think is pretty cool.
Agreed.
So it was a good discussion that we had. So slow-reveal-graphs.com is my other
Slow-reveal graphs.
Yes, my other little math tidbit for today, besides Desmos. But yeah,
nice.
So math things this week and great discussion points, but just some cool resources to try out. And you don't have to be a math teacher to be using them either and putting graphs into your classroom.
But if you are a math teacher, also good.
Yes, it is good. We have a big push right now in our high school to have kids work on reading graphs outside of math class.
Okay.
Just because they don't always interpret the data. They just assume things. So that's fun. So those are all the things.
Very fun, as always.
So many thoughts.
So many thoughts.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Episode 115.
So we're taking another break next week, right?
No, we are here next week.
We're here next week.
We are not here the following week.
Oh, yeah. The time just kind of flies.
It does.
But we got spring break coming up.
Correct.
So
we'll be back next week, but then we'll take a break after that. My spring break isn't another week away.
Yes. And then we'll cruise on through until
the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter.
Yay!
Yeah, here we go.
Woo! Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at smartnwi. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, visit smartnwi.com. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. You can visit buymeacoffee.com/smartnwi or visit smartnwi.com and click the cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep the show going. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author Shannon Martin and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies we've discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do.